the Tanai Kofu. La'achas man mitzvoso, I'm Mishna Berura, b'momer am nash tachzirei v'lo mali. Okay, he's citing the Mogan Avram here. Keinu b'choshim nishsim reish mimal sivo ba'agosham shem arashbo b'tshuva simin elif. Chari yesh stira al zer v'hod isifhei. He says, seems to be a contradiction. Why? Da'afil b'nosan lo stam. Okay, let's say he doesn't say a word. He just gives them without saying it. I'm reading the varig the sorah nashi achziru lotzi spoke. He wants it back that he should be able to be yotzei the next day with it. Logor azamilu lo maklum. I mean, if he says he leaves out the word li, then Mogan Avram says then it's okay. It's not a problem. He's citing the source is a rashba. Tshuva is a rashba. The response from the rashba. But yet, if you say nothing, if he doesn't give it back to him at the time when he can be yotzei, then he's not yotzei. Umotzah shkvar omed bezel liyarabo b'shem tshuvas beis Yaakov. Beis Yaakov is the Nesivis. Al kolcham nutzichem omed esvilei l'ramoshom demikeven sheperush dvor v'amanas lahachzir lo pirush lo mali sheyachzir lo gora mistoma. This is what we said. Komokum tzorchiyun. It's never this is difficult. You say nothing, the presumption is you want it back. But if you're ready saying something and you omit the word li, since the li means as long as I get it back, whenever I get it back. It doesn't have to be within the context of a mitzvah, even though we say certainty. The man needs it tomorrow. If you don't give it back tomorrow, he's not going to be able to be yotzei. The kamachrom ifakvin al svarazu vayim b'korban nisano sugyazu chem bebikuri Yaakov. That's the rachlan there. The datom the bala'itu shesov the afil b'stomach kavno sheichzurna b'zman mitzoso. When he says nothing, the presumption is he wants it back, that he should be able to be yotzei. So when you say nothing, we say you have to give it back, definitely, when the giver could be yotzei. So if you say, I'm giving you on the condition you give it back, even though he omitted the word li, that definitely is his intention. Cholak ala rashba, the balit is a rishon. V'dad, the gamba oma amanash tzari li, the mechuyev la'azir b'zman mitzvoso, gam kein iko chiluk b'dover. Even there, he says, you can make a differentiation. Let's say he has multiple loving. The giver has many. Wait a second. He said on the condition you give it back. He did say on the condition you give it back. Wait. You know that he wants to not let me finish the words. But here he's starting with the Chofetz Chaim already. He's not okay. Let's see what the Chofetz Chaim writes over here. The be'ein lo lulav acher mechuyev lachzir b'yom zeh im lo berach al koponim liyom del mocher. If he has no other lulav other than this, there's no question he has to give it back. That the giver should be able to be yotzi with it. Not a question. Man has no other lulav, so we say with certainty he wants the lulav back. Nothing li, no li, he wants it back. That's a given. That's a given. Mishna Berura. It's something which is with absolute certainty. That's his intent. But let's say he has another lulav, which it could be yotzi. He did say, he says, on the condition you give it back to me. So he can't delay it till after the Yom Tiv, because then it has no value. The question is, he have to give it back the next day for him to be yotzi with. Midi the chozi komer, meaning I want to give you should give it back to him what still has value. Even if he gives back on the seventh day. As long as he gives back within a time period that he can be yotzi the mitzvah, that it still has mitzvah value. He didn't say what's its value. He give back to him the last day. Al kozel likatib divrei tshuvas harashba now ayin shom. Okay, I'll give you an example. Person goes and he borrows a loaf of bread. He returns it erev Pesach, an hour before Sreifas Chametz. You know, he cleaned out his cupboard. He says, "Look, I borrowed it. Here's it back." The man, factually, it's not so simple. Did he return the object that he borrowed? He did. He paid back. You paid it back on the way he's going to Sreifas Chametz, the borrower. He meets him, he says, by the way, you know something? Here's the loaf of bread. You can throw it into the fire with yours, but I'm paying it back to you. Doesn't make difference, but he's giving it back to at a time that it has value, right? I mean, on Yom Tif, of course not, because he's not giving him something of his. It's not called a repayment. But he gave it to him, let's say, right before Shreifas Chometz. He was Yotzei. I mean, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? He's a bad guy. This is the story of Yossi, the person who did Milas Chosodim, Chesed Shalem, so well, gave him a rotten piece of fish. Okay, this kind of guy we're talking about. This type of person. Stay for breakfast, I'll tell you the story. Okay. Li means that that it has mitzvah value.
He has 10 other lulav, and that's the separate issue. He has the field of Tirei Li, so if he doesn't have, he has to give it back that day.
No. No, he's giving back on Yom Tov. He will give it back, but he's giving back before the last day, before it's over.
The fact that he has more lulav should not necessarily give this person more leeway in giving it back.
You know, we learned this, the Sugya Dvarim Shabbalayv, that unless it's with absolute certainty this is what he meant, then you should have been more specific. If you're not more specific, no, Li, he didn't say Li today. Li means that I should be able to be Yotzi with it. It should have mitzvah value. He says, even with this, he's quoting the Chuvas Rashba. If he has no other lulav, no question, he has to give it back to him the next day. Otherwise, he can't be Yotzi. He has nothing else to be Yotzi with. Well, go borrow lulav. Yeah, you have such people too. They tell the one who lends it, you could borrow one. You know. No, we're speaking ultimately the borrower will give it back before the last day, before Yom. No, we're speaking he has other lulavim. He has it. We're speaking only when he has. If he has no other lulav, it means the next day to be yotzei. It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Whatever the condition is, factually, it turns out he had no other lulavim. It's clear. That's what he meant. If he had no other lulavim. It's interesting. I mean. The law of we speak stealing. A person steals chametz, right? A person hijacks a truck of chametz. It's worth $100,000, and then afterwards he's a thief. So, what is the obligation of Beishav Agzel Shegozo? You must return the stolen object. It's not a financial obligation. So the Gemara says in Novakama, now the person realizes he can't sell it. The thief. So he figures, well, he might as well return it. He returns it on Pesach. So it's what? It's Yisur no. The halacha is Yotzei Hashav Gzela. If the object is destroyed, then it becomes a financial. That's already a restitution. Then you have to give me what? You have to give me value. The value that it was worth when you stole it. But if the item is intact, although I'm giving you back the item at a time that it's worthless, and even the one who receives it has to burn it, I can give you back what I stole. That's the halacha. Okay? But over here, I gave you something that I want that I should be able to be yotze with. If you give it back after Yom Tov, it's not called Daled Minim. Daled Minim means within the context of yotze the mitzvah. It has no value any longer. Let me ask you, you have your bar mitzvah son. You buy your son a lulav and you have a lulav. And somebody borrows yours. You can be yotze with your sons. Right? Okay. No, because his son will give it to you. He's bar mitzvah. He's bar mitzvah boy. No, it's also not so simple because he says, so it's like borrowing. And when you take your son's lulav, you're borrowing your son's lulav. Right? You're borrowing. No. When you buy your son a lulav, and now he's an adult, it's his lulav. You have your lulav, his lulav. So now what happens? The person says, well, you can use your son's lulav. So it's like saying, go borrow from a neighbor. What do you mean, go borrow from a neighbor? I bought a lulav that I want my lulav. I'm not interested in borrowing. Well, you could do a maton aslahagza like I did a maton aslahagza. Right? Not. So I'm saying even that would not. Multiple lulav he himself has. Like you have certain people, they, find by certain people, they use 10 different esrogim. Yemenite, from Greece, and this. Because every conceivable, they want to be yotzi, every hiddur that there is. Some people do it. Sometimes they borrow, they take somebody else's. Person can't afford a special, a very expensive esrog. Somebody says, would you like to use my esrog? So they take his esrog and they give it back to him. That's a matan amanas lahauser. Community owns it. Community owns it.
So in that case, he wouldn't have to say anything. He would shake it.
There you have an anat sadi. There's no question. Everybody needs the lulav. This man takes it. He's a thief.
So everybody has interest in it, and they can use it as if it's their own.
No, when they use it, it's their own. It's totally their own. It's not a partnership. It's not a partnership. Partnership, we had the Mechaber says, you don't see the partnership. It has to be totally yours. But the understanding is when each person takes it, he's saying it should be his, then he returns it. He returns it to the partnership.
Or to another person.
But it's the same when it lays on the bimah, who owns it? The community owns it. So it's a partnership. When you take it, then you become the sole owner. On the condition that you return it to the partnership. No, even you say nothing. According to the Rashba differentiates. Says, that's what he quoted the Chuvas Beis Yaakov. That it's better not to say anything than saying something. You say something, you leave out the word li, it's worse than not saying anything. Right? That's what he said. He quoted the Baal Eitir. Baal Eitir disagrees. He says if you say nothing, it's not you definitely have to return it. So if you say, even if you omit the word li, it's no worse than not saying anything. Because we definitely know what the person's intention is. He wants it back. To be continued.
The more you say, the more you open up for meal. Really, you should say, if the condition is not fulfilled, you should say the negative, then you say.
Where this far is brought. The Gemara has a question in the Dorim. Yesh yad lehegdish, ein yad lehegdish. Yad, the word yad means a handle. So the Ran explains that if you take, let's say, a vessel has a handle, you take the handle, you take the whole pot with it, right? So the handle is the means to take control over something much larger. So the Gemara says, netter, you have to verbalize a netter. Let's say a person says one word, right? Says one word. I'll give you, a person says, Hareini Nazir. Let's say a person would say, Hareini, I am. You're what? So we don't even know what your intention is. It could be a lot of things. But let's say a person is Hareini Nazir, and somebody standing by says, Va'ani, and I. Right? So the Gemara says, based on the principle of Yad, although it's a partial expression, in its own right, you didn't say Hareini Nazir, but since you said Ani, and we know the intention, Ani means that I want to be like him, therefore that's sufficient to become a Nazir. Although to become a Nazir, you have to verbalize it. A person would think in his mind, I want to be a Nazir, it means nothing. You have to have verbalization. But when you say a partial expression where it's clear what your intention is, the partial expression is like you fully expressed it. Okay? That's the Gemara. That's Gemara. In the Dorim, Gemara knows it. So Gemara has a question. Not in the Dorim, a person says, do we say yesh yad lehegdish if you consecrate something? You know, it's a korban. But you say a partial expression. Do we apply it there also? Because the Gezeres HaKos, the Pasuk is written by Neder and by Nazir. What about by Hegdish? So Gemara leaves it unresolved. So the Keren Ora, who's a commentator, asks a question. The halacha is, the Gemara says in Shavuos, that if a person wants to consecrate something mentally, it's valid consecration. So if that is the case, what's the Gemara's question? Yesh yad lehegdish. If you think, I want this to be a shlamim, even though you didn't verbalize it, it's a shlamim, or it's an ola. So if I say a partial expression, and when I say a partial, I have in mind, it should be whatever it is. So why shouldn't it be? It's not worse than not saying anything. You have a question? You say nothing, it's consecrated. So when I say a partial expression, when you say the partial expression, you definitely had in mind, because you thought what you thought. So why should saying a partial expression be worse than not saying anything? You have the question. So the Keren Ora answers that he expressed himself partially, that means, how does he want this consecration to come about? Not through mental consecration, through verbal consecration. But if we say that verbal consecration has to be full expression, you have to fully verbalize it. So it's not, therefore it's not valid. You understand? Because the intention is that he's expressing himself, he's clearly stating, this is how I want the consecration to come about. Not through mental. Because it was mental, what do you even start speaking? That's something. That's transfer. That's transfer. That's something else. Here we're talking about how to bring it about. What is an act of consecration? So if mental is sufficient, so why partial verbal? Why shouldn't that be? Because when you speak partially, but you think it in your mind. But that's what he's expressing means the way I want it to come about is through verbal expression. That's the Gemara Shaila. Okay? There's a Reb Kiva Eger in Brochos. There's a question of Hira Kadibra about Kadibra. Let's say you think Birchas Hamazon. You think it. You don't verbalize it. Ayotze. So he asks a question. The Gemara is a Shaila. If a woman can be motzi a man in Birchas Hamazon. Gemara has the question. So, because it's like a similar, it's a semi mitzvah shishman grama. It's a mitzvah shishman grama. The Gemara has a question, maybe a mitzvah shishman grama Birchas Hamazon. Okay, so the Gemara says, so Reb Kiva asks, if you have the opinion here, Kedibor, that thinking it is like saying it. So if a woman says Baruch, and you have in mind, I want to be yotze with her Baruch. Well, you're definitely thinking, you're hearing the word Baruch. So it's hero. So everything she says, you're thinking. It's like a person would say, Baruch, repeat after me. And you repeat it. There's no question. Yotze, whoever, you have a recording, right? And you repeat after a recording. Yotze, because factually you said it. So if here is Kedibur, thinking is the equivalent of verbalizing it, so why can a woman be Yotze? Because to be Yotze, you have to hear the words. So if you heard the words, you definitely thought the words. That's Rabbi Kivega's question. So what's the Shaila in the Gemara? You following? Right. If you hold here a Kedibur, so what's the question with a woman? So the answer is the same answer. When I say, could you please be motzi me? That means Shemei Ka'una means your words are my words. I don't want to be yotze with, because I heard the words. Hearing is a condition that you should be able to be my agent. So now the question is, I want you to both to be as my agent. The question is, a woman qualified to be an agent because it's a semi-mitzvah shema grumble. It's similar to what we're saying now by consecration. But it has nothing to do with our discussion here. Our discussion is what's the man's mindset. If he doesn't say Li, we say with certainty he wants it back. But when he says it, because he left out the word Li, even though we know what he means, you're going to tell me what? That should be worse? You could return it to me after Yom Tif. Everything's in here. Everything's intent. So that's the Baliter says. You have to look at it at the intent of the lender. He definitely wants it back. He wants it back to be Yotze. Whether he says Li or doesn't say Li. Even he left out the word Li. He wants them. He has no way to be Yotze. Have no relevance to this. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. By us? Over there. As I said, the Gemara says it's unresolved whether a woman can be motze a man in Birchas Hamazon. In fact, we rule here is lav kedibur. Thinking something, you have to verbalize. You daven, kriyishma. There's a case where you're not able to say kriyishma. Let's say a person's naked, right? So then you think the kriyishma. You're not permitted to verbalize it, right? The times, or let's say it's certain things you're not permitted to say things. So so then you think it. But if you're able to say it, you're supposed to say it. Otherwise, you're not yotze.
So this comes up when people are saying someone's in the Molish Master.
No, that's Shemei Kohen, but that's Shemei Kohen. That's Shemei Kohen. Middle of Shemon Esrei Yeh Kedusha. Yomin Yishmei Rabbi. You're supposed to stop and listen to the Chazan. Because he's the Shliach Tzibur. He's your agent. So listening is like you're actually saying it. I mean, there's a problem. So it wasn't a hefsek in the middle of Shemon Esrei, right? So good. So because Shemei Kohen doesn't mean you're actually verbalizing. It means when you listen, he's your agent. He's representing you.
Okay, it's not because you're
It's not like you're saying it because you're actually verbalizing it.
even if you think so, it might be that you're thinking.
Not yet. No, not yet. It's not Hira Kedibra. It has nothing to do with Hira Kedibra. Shomei Kona. It's Shomei Kona. It's like being Yotze Kiddush. Okay, let's see Chovos HaLevavos.